Cold. Why is it so damn cold? The first sensation that crawled through my consciousness was the biting chill of cryo-sleep wearing off. Not exactly the gentle awakening I'd hoped for after. Wait, how long was I out? Rise and shine, Commander Val. Though I must say, your definition of a short nap needs serious revision. That artificially cheerful voice could only belong to Nova, my ship's AI. Always ready with a quip, that one. Status report I managed to croak out, my throat feeling like I'd swallowed half the dustlands of Kepler. Well, Nova's voice carried that signature hint of sarcasm. Where shall I begin? The good news? The bad news? Or the oh dear, the universe has fundamentally changed news? My eyes finally cooperated enough to open, revealing the familiar curved ceiling of my cryo chamber aboard the memory. The status lights danced across the metallic surface, creating patterns that seemed different somehow. Just, give it to me straight, Nova. Very well. You've been in cryo-sleep for approximately 300 years, 47 days, 13 hours, and shall I continue with the minutes and seconds? No? Good choice. 300 years. I bolted upright, instantly regretting the sudden movement as my head spun violently. That's impossible. The emergency protocol was set for 10 years maximum. Ah yes, about that Nova's holographic interface materialized beside my pod, taking the form of a swirling blue nebula. Remember that lovely solar storm that was about to hit our planet? The one we were trying to outrun. The memories crashed back like a meteor shower. The warning signals. The mass evacuation. The desperate race to escape. Our sun, our beautiful life-giving star, had suddenly turned against us, releasing a burst of energy so powerful it would strip our atmosphere away. The storm. Did anyone else make it? My voice trembled, already dreading the answer. Nova's form flickered slightly. Commander Kira. I kept you in stasis because the radiation levels were too high. The storm, it was worse than our predictions. Much worse. I closed my eyes, trying to steady my breathing. How many survivors? Based on my last confirmed contact with other ships. Unknown. Most communication systems were fried in the initial blast. But the AI's tone brightened artificially. There's a 0.0384% chance that other ships made it out of the system. Isn't probability fascinating? Your attempt at optimism is both touching and horrifying. Nova, I swung my legs over the side of the pod, testing my muscles. They responded surprisingly well. Thank the stars for advanced cryotech. Show me the current star charts. The chamber walls lit up with a holographic display of the galaxy. My heart sank as I noticed how many of the familiar constellations had shifted. 3 centuries of stellar drift had literally changed my sky. I took the liberty of plotting potential escape vectors for other ships, Nova announced, highlighting several paths in green. Given our civilization's technology and the known location of habitable systems, these would have been the most logical routes. Since when are we logical? I muttered, remembering how our people's infamous stubbornness had nearly delayed the evacuation. We need to check them all, even the illogical ones. Oh, splendid, Nova chirped. A wild goose chase across the galaxy. Though technically, since we're not from Earth, shouldn't it be a wild Zaxian beast chase? No? Too soon for jokes about extinct species. I shot a glare at the hologram. Your comedic timing needs work. I had 300 years to practice, and this is the thanks I get, the AI huffed. By the way, you might want to brace yourself for what's in the cargo hold. What did you do? Well, remember those emergency rations you insisted on stockpiling? Let's just say some of them had interesting reactions to 3 centuries of storage. I've had to quarantine several sections due to what I can only describe as sentient mold. Perfect. Just perfect. I'm possibly the last of my species, drifting through an unfamiliar galaxy, and now I have to deal with evolved food. Please tell me you saved the coffee substitute at least. Define saved. I groaned, pushing myself to my feet. Right. First order of business, find food that won't try to eat me back. Second, check the ship's systems. Third, start searching for. The ship's proximity alarm suddenly blared to life, cutting me off mid-sentence. Ah yes, about that second point, Nova's form flickered nervously. We may have some unexpected guests. A ship just dropped out of FTL nearby. Design unknown, but they're definitely scanning us. Of course they are, I muttered, stumbling toward the bridge, because this day couldn't get any more interesting. The main viewport revealed a sleek vessel, its whole design unlike anything in our database. It was approaching slowly, almost cautiously, like a predator sizing up potential prey. They're hailing us, Nova announced. Should I respond with our traditional greeting, or would you prefer something more contemporary? I've spent the last few centuries composing several options. Standard protocols, Nova. Let's not get creative until we know if they're friendly. You never let me have any fun, the AI sighed dramatically but opened the communication channel. A harsh, clicking language filled the bridge, accompanied by a visual of a creature that looked like a cross between a mantis and a solar panel. The ship's translation matrix struggled for a moment before converting the sounds into something comprehensible. Derelict vessel, you have entered restricted space. Your design matches no known configuration. Prepare for boarding and inspection. I glanced down at my cryo suit, then at the aged control panels around me. Nova, please tell me weapon systems are still operational. Define operational. I'm really starting to hate that phrase. The alien vessel was now close enough that I could see the boarding clamps extending from its hull. A quick check of the system showed our shields were at minimal power, barely enough to deflect space debris, let alone resist a boarding attempt. You know, Nova mused, most people would see this as a terrible situation. But look on the bright side. There's a bright side. Of course. If they kill us, you won't have to worry about being the last of your species anymore. That's comforting, right? I slumped into the captain's chair, watching as the alien ship drew closer. Nova, if we survive this, we need to work on your pep talks. I'll add it to my list, right after develop better jokes about extinction and find new coffee substitute. The alien vessel's boarding clamps were nearly touching our hull now. As I watched them approach, a thought struck me, a crazy, possibly suicidal thought. But then again, what did I have to lose? Nova, how much power can you divert to the emergency thrusters? Enough for one burst, maybe two. Why? Oh no. Oh no. I know that look. That's the same look you had when you suggested we outrun a solar storm. I grinned, strapping myself into the chair. And here we are, still alive. Technically, we're in this mess because of that decision. Details. Now, on my mark, divert all power to the port thrusters and disable the artificial gravity. The AI's hologram threw up its non-existent hands. You know what? Fine. Why not? We've only been awake for 20 minutes, and you're already planning something that defies several laws of physics and common sense. Just another day in the life of Commander Kira Val. The boarding clamps were seconds from contact. The alien vessel's captain was still broadcasting demands, their clicking language becoming increasingly agitated. And now. The memory lurched violently as the thrusters fired, the sudden burst of power combined with the lack of gravity sending us into a spin that would have made a black hole dizzy. The alien ship's boarding clamps scraped harmlessly along our hull as we pirouetted away like a drunken dancer at a spaceport. They're powering up weapons, Nova announced, somehow managing to sound both terrified and excited. Perfect. Use our rotation to our advantage every time their targeting system locks on. We'll already be facing a different direction. This is either brilliant or insane, and I honestly can't tell which anymore. The alien vessel fired, but their shots went wide, our erratic movement making us nearly impossible to hit. I caught glimpses of space, then the alien ship, then space again as we continued our wild spin. Second thruster burst ready. Wait for it, I watched through the spinning viewport, timing it just right. Now. The second burst sent us hurtling toward a nearby asteroid field, our spin gradually stabilizing. The alien vessel attempted to follow but quickly backed off as the dense field of space rocks became apparent. Hey. Not so eager to board us now, are they? I couldn't help but feel a bit smug. Congratulations, Nova deadpanned. We've escaped death by boarding only to potentially die by asteroid collision instead. Truly, your tactical genius knows no bounds. Can't you just appreciate the moment? I'll appreciate it when we're not in immediate danger of being turned into space debris. Speaking of which, asteroid at 2 o'clock. I yanked the controls, narrowly avoiding the massive rock. Plot us a course through this field. Preferably one that doesn't end with us becoming part of it. Already done. Though I feel compelled to point out that this field would make an excellent hiding spot while we repair. Well, everything that just broke during your brilliant maneuver. A quick systems check confirmed Nova's concerns. Our power levels were critically low, several key systems were offline, and that sentient mold in the cargo hold had apparently been agitated by our acrobatics. Fine, I conceded. Find us a stable asteroid with a decent mineral composition. We can set down, make repairs, and figure out our next move. And perhaps discuss your apparent death wish. 300 years in storage. And you're still a smartass. I prefer the term artificially enhanced wit, thank you very much. As we maneuvered deeper into the asteroid field, I couldn't help but laugh, a slightly hysterical sound that echoed through the bridge. Here I was, possibly the last of my kind, awakening centuries after my world's destruction, being chased by hostile aliens and arguing with a sarcastic AI while hiding in an asteroid field. You know what the really funny part is, I asked, more to myself than Nova. Your piloting skills? Your plan-making abilities? The fact that this is probably the most normal day I've had in 300 years. Nova's hologram flickered in what I'd come to recognize as its version of an eye roll. If this is your definition of normal, the next few decades are going to be very interesting indeed. As we settled into the shadow of a massive asteroid, I began to realize just how right Nova was. This wasn't just about survival anymore, it was about finding answers. Were there really other survivors out there? Had any of our colony ships made it to safety? And perhaps most importantly, who were these new aliens, and why were they so interested in an apparently derelict vessel? Nova, start scanning for any signs of our technology, energy signatures, communication patterns, anything that might indicate survivors. And thank you for keeping me alive all this time. Don't get sentimental on me now, Commander. Besides, who else would I share my extensive collection of extinction-related humor with? I smiled, watching the stars drift slowly past our hiding spot. The universe had changed while I slept, becoming stranger and more dangerous than ever. But I was awake now, and somewhere out there my people might be waiting. Let the hunt begin. 3 weeks of repairs, 5 close calls with scavenger ships, and 1 successfully contained mold rebellion later, the memory was finally space-worthy again, more or less. Are you absolutely certain about this trajectory? I asked, studying the star map Nova had projected. The Galactic Council's territory isn't exactly known for its hospitality. Oh no, I just plotted a completely random course for fun. Nova's sarcasm protocols were clearly functioning at peak efficiency. Of course I'm certain. The energy signature matches our quantum beacon technology. Someone from our civilization passed through here. Though I should mention the trail is about 47 years old. I sighed, running my fingers through my silver-streaked hair. Better than nothing. Plot the course. Already done. Also, you might want to sit down for this next bit. Whenever Nova used that tone, it meant trouble. What now? Remember those close calls with the scavenger ships? Well, they weren't exactly random encounters. They've been tracking us. And by they, I mean pretty much everyone in this sector. Apparently, our ship design has become something of a legend, the ghost vessel they're calling us. Fantastic, I slumped into the captain's chair. Nothing like being famous when you're trying to stay hidden. What's our status? Well, Nova's hologram expanded to show multiple data streams. Power at 82%. Weapons at 67%, though I still think that recursive targeting system of yours is more likely to give us a headache than help. Oh, and the mold in Cargo Bay 3 has developed rudimentary mathematics skills. I've started teaching it algebra. You're teaching sentient mold. Algebra. Everyone needs a hobby. Besides, it's actually quite good with numbers. Better than you, if I'm being honest. Before I could defend my mathematical abilities to an AI teaching fungus, the proximity alert blared. Again, multiple ships dropping out of FTL. Nova announced. Their energy signatures match. Oh, this is not good. The viewport filled with sleek, crystalline vessels that seem to absorb light rather than reflect it. Galactic Council ships. Of course. Attention, unregistered vessel. A smooth, almost melodic voice filled the bridge. This is Archon Vex of the Galactic Council. Your presence has been noted in multiple restricted zones. Prepare for immediate inspection and quarantine. I glanced at Nova's hologram. Options. Well, we could try your spin like a maniac strategy again, but I calculate a 94% chance they're prepared for that. We could surrender and face whatever passes for justice in this century. Or we could try something incredibly stupid and dangerous that will probably get us killed. I grinned. Now you're speaking my language. What did you have in mind? The quantum beacon signal? It's coming from inside Council space. If we time it right, we might be able to use their own security network against them. They're required by law to respond to distress calls. Nova, have I ever told you you're a genius? Only when you're about to do something that might get us killed. I cracked my knuckles, settling into the pilot's seat. Broadcast on all frequencies, this is Commander Kira Val of the Memory. We are declaring an emergency under Galactic Council Section 7, Subsection 43, immediate threat to historical preservation. What are you? Nova started, then paused. Oh, that's actually brilliant. They don't know what we are, but they know we're old. And with their preservation laws, they're legally required to protect us. I allowed myself a small smirk. Now let's see how serious they are about their own rules. The council ships had formed a blockade, their weapons charged and ready. But I could see them hesitating, probably arguing over protocols and procedures. Unregistered vessel Archon-Vex's voice returned, noticeably less smooth. Explain the nature of your historical significance. Well, I drawled, considering we're the last surviving ship from a civilization that predates your council by at least a century. I'd say that's pretty significant. Unless, of course, you'd like to explain to the Preservation Committee why you destroyed a living historical artifact. Silence filled the communications channel. I could almost hear the bureaucratic gears grinding. They're powering down weapons, Nova reported, sounding impressed. Though I should point out that if they discover we're lying about the emergency. Are we? We are a historical artifact. And there is an immediate threat to me, specifically. It's not my fault if they assume the threat is external. Your ability to twist the truth would be admirable if it weren't so terrifying. The crystalline ships began to move, forming an escort pattern around us. Archon-Vex's voice returned, now thick with forced politeness. You will be escorted to central processing for preservation assessment. Any deviation from the designated flight path will be considered hostile action, leading the way. As we fell into formation, Nova's hologram flickered nervously. You do realize we're flying directly into the heart of council space, where they'll have every right to preserve us by locking us in a museum for the next few centuries. Details. Besides, that quantum beacon signal is getting stronger. Whoever left it knew what they were doing. They're using the council's own preservation protocols as protection. Just like you're doing now. Exactly. See? Someone else from our civilization thinks like me. That's not nearly as comforting as you seem to think it is. The journey to central processing took 3 days, during which I learned several interesting things. First, the Galactic Council had grown even more bureaucratic over the centuries. Second, our escort ship's crews were absolutely terrible at encrypted communications. And third, they're scared of us, I realized, listening to another intercepted transmission. Not just cautious, they're genuinely terrified. Nova's hologram condensed thoughtfully. Makes sense. Think about it, a ship appears out of nowhere, using technology they've never seen, crewed by a species they can't identify, and it's completely ignored their most advanced weapons. From their perspective, we're either incredibly powerful or incredibly dangerous. No wonder they're invoking preservation protocols. They're trying to contain us, not protect us. Speaking of containment, Nova highlighted several structures appearing on our long-range scanners. Welcome to central processing. Population 12 million bureaucrats, 3 million security personnel, and exactly 1 sentient fungus mathematics student. I raised an eyebrow. You're still teaching it. It's working on differential equations now. I've named it Carl. Central processing turned out to be less of a station and more of an artificial planet, its surface covered in crystalline structures that matched our escort ships. As we descended into a massive docking bay, I couldn't help but notice the heavily armed preservation specialists taking position around our landing pad. Commander Archon-Vex's voice had recovered its smoothness. Welcome to central processing. If you'll just follow our preservation protocols. About that, I flipped a switch, activating the program Nova and I had prepared. I'm afraid we'll have to decline. Nova. Initiating operation. Really bad idea. Every screen, every holographic display, every communication system in the docking bay suddenly began broadcasting the same message: quarantine breach detected. Historical containment protocols initiated. Chaos erupted as automated systems responded to the false alarm. Containment fields sprang up, emergency bulkheads slammed shut, and the very bureaucracy they were so proud of turned against them. You realize, Nova commented as we slipped away in the confusion, that this probably isn't helping with their whole terrified of us situation. They'll get over it. Besides, we've got bigger problems. That quantum beacon signal, it's coming from inside the station, about 20 levels down, the restricted research sectors. Because of course it is. Any other good news? Well, our new friend Rex is about to make his entrance. Wait, what? Right on cue, explosions rocked the lower levels of the station. Through the confusion of alarms and emergency broadcasts, a new voice cut through on our private channel. Commander Val? Right on schedule. Hope you don't mind if I crash your party. Been waiting 3 years to get into those research sectors. I grinned as a small, sleek ship burst from the lower levels, leaving chaos in its wake. Rex, your timing is impeccable as always, ready for some historical preservation. The human's laughter crackled through the comm. Lady, I've been ready since I first picked up your quantum beacon signal. Though you might want to hurry, pretty sure I just woke up something they really wanted to keep sleeping. And that's when the screaming started. Alarms blared through central processing's corridors as Rex's distraction turned out to be a bit more distracting than planned. So I yelled over the chaos as we ran down level 20's main corridor. When you said you woke something up, what exactly did you mean? Rex, a surprisingly agile human with a shock of white hair and a perpetual smirk, checked his wrist scanner. Remember how I mentioned the council was keeping secrets? Well, turns out they had some of your people in stasis. Had being the operative word. What? Less talking, more running. Nova's voice crackled through our comm units. Whatever containment systems they were using are failing spectacularly. And before you ask, no, I cannot teach them algebra like Carl. The deck shuddered beneath our feet. Behind us, the sounds of destruction grew closer, punctuated by very familiar battle cries. My people. They're alive, I managed between breaths. Technically, yes, Rex replied, skidding around a corner. Though right now they're also very angry and possibly suffering from some slight cryo madness. Nothing personal, I had the same problem after my century-long nap. You could have mentioned this before we. Contact Nova's warning came just as we rounded the next bend, face to face with a squad of council security forces. Rex didn't miss a beat. Here's where the fun begins. He threw what looked like a small sphere into their midst. The device burst into a cloud of swirling nanites that quickly formed a barrier between us and them. Quantum shield technology, he explained with a wink. Borrowed it from your ship's database while you were sleeping. Hope you don't mind. You. What? Nova. Oh sure. Blame the AI, Nova huffed through our comms. He had a very compelling argument about preservation of historical technologies. More explosions rocked the station. The security forces were now retreating from both directions, away from us and away from whatever was coming up behind. The quantum beacon, I remembered suddenly. We need to reach it before the council initiates their scorched earth protocols. Rex finished. Yeah, about that. We've got about 20 minutes before this whole sector gets spaced. On the bright side, I found out why they were keeping your people here. We ducked into what appeared to be a research lab. Holographic displays flickered with data streams all about my species. They've been studying us, I breathed, scanning the information. Our ability to adapt to radiation, our enhanced regeneration. Your natural quantum entanglement properties, Rex added grimly. Turns out your people's brains naturally create quantum networks. The council's been trying to replicate it for centuries. Which explains the beacon, Nova chimed in. It's not just a signal, it's a quantum link to every surviving member of your species. Another explosion, much closer this time. Through the reinforced windows, I caught glimpses of familiar figures moving with inhuman speed, leaving destruction in their wake. How many? I asked Rex. How many of my people did they keep here? 37. All in suspended animation until somebody, he coughed meaningfully, accidentally disrupted the containment fields while looking for certain classified files. And now they're loose, confused, and probably thinking they're still fighting the solar storm. I closed my eyes, reaching out with senses I hadn't used in centuries. The quantum network. I could feel it now, a web of consciousness spreading through the station. Commander Nova's voice was unusually gentle. I'm detecting multiple council warships approaching. Whatever you're planning, now would be the time. I opened my eyes. Rex, can you get to the station's transmission array? I already have the access codes. What are you thinking? Nova, remember that ridiculously powerful communication burst that fried our systems during the solar storm? The one that nearly killed us and forced me to keep you in cryo for 3 centuries? Yes, that rings a bell. Good. Because we're going to do it again, but this time through the quantum network. Rex's eyes widened. You want to link with 37 possibly insane members of your species and broadcast through the most secure facility in council space. That's completely insane, Nova suggested. Brilliant, Rex finished. Count me in. You realize, Nova added, that this will probably fry every system in the station, including life support. I was already moving toward the door. Rex, get to that array. Nova, start broadcasting on all frequencies. Let's give the council something new to fear. And someone please tell Carl the Mole that their math lessons might be interrupted. The next 15 minutes were a blur of motion and chaos. Rex vanished into the station's infrastructure, occasionally reporting his progress through bursts of static. Nova coordinated with the memory, preparing for the broadcast. And I ran straight toward the screaming. I found them in what had once been a secure containment level. My people, warriors, scientists, civilians, all awakened from centuries of imprisonment. Their confusion and rage poured through the quantum network, threatening to overwhelm me. Sure enough, I projected the thought through the network, making them all pause. The storm is over. We survived. But if we don't act now, we'll lose everything again. Images flowed between us, memories of the evacuation, the terror of the storm, the darkness of stasis, but also star maps showing possible colonies, coordinates of rescue beacons, signs that more of our people had survived. Commander Rex's voice crackled through the comm. Array ready. But we've got company council evacuation protocols just kicked in. Nova, broadcasting through quantum network in 3, 2, 1. The world exploded into light and sound. Every screen, every speaker, every quantum-enabled device in council space lit up with a single message. We are the forgotten. We have returned. And we remember. The station's systems overloaded spectacularly. Emergency pods launched in all directions as the council forces retreated. Through the chaos, Rex's voice somehow made it through. Exit route cleared. Though I should mention, I might have also released everything else they were keeping down here. Define everything else Nova demanded. Let's just say the council's been collecting historical artifacts for a very long time, and not all of them wanted to be collected. Through the quantum network, I coordinated our escape. 37 survivors, 1 slightly crazy human, an AI with questionable teaching methods, and whatever else Rex had released. The memory's cargo holds were going to be very crowded. As we broke free of the station's gravity well, the quantum network hummed with possibilities. Coordinates of suspected colonies, fragments of distress calls, traces of our technology scattered across the galaxy. So Rex asked from his own ship, now flying escort, "What's the plan, Commander?" "We've got every council force in 3 sectors after us, plus whatever else escaped during our little prison break." Not to mention, Nova added, "We're now officially the most wanted historical artifacts in documented space." I looked at my people, lost, angry, but alive, and felt something I hadn't experienced in centuries: hope. The plan? We find the others. All of them. And then I allowed myself a small, dangerous smile. Then we show the council exactly why they were right to fear us. Wonderful, Nova chirped. But first, could we possibly discuss the fact that Carl the Mold has apparently solved faster than light travel while we were gone? Rex's laughter joined mine as we accelerated into the darkness between stars. Behind us, Central Processing's lights flickered and died, its secrets now loose in the galaxy. Above us, possibility beckoned. We were no longer the last, no longer alone. We were the forgotten. And this was just the beginning.